I should have never gone back to that forest. Even now, as I sit here trying to put these words together, I can still feel the damp night air on my skin. I can still hear the crunch of leaves under something that wasn't me. It started like any other camping trip. A couple of friends had bailed at the last minute, and I decided to go alone. I told myself it would be peaceful, a weekend of silence, a break from the noise of the city. But the silence I found out there wasn't peaceful. It was predatory. The forest stretched out for miles, thick with pine and fog that clung low to the ground. I set up camp near a small clearing, just wide enough for my tent and a small fire. The sun bled into the horizon, and for a brief moment, the world turned red. That color, the way it spread over the trees, almost felt like a warning, but I ignored it. By the time night settled in, the woods had changed. You think you know what darkness is until you're miles away from the nearest road, and the only light is the dull glow of your campfire. Out there, the dark isn't just an absence of light, it feels alive, like it's watching you. At first, it was little things. The firewood I had stacked beside the tent was scattered, as if someone or something had been digging through it. I heard snapping branches in the tree line, heavy, deliberate footsteps that stopped the moment I held my breath to listen. I told myself it was just animals, a deer, maybe a bear. But animals don't mimic patterns. They don't stop when you stop. Around midnight, the forest went completely silent. If you've ever camped before, you know that's not normal. There's always something: crickets, owls, the rustle of leaves. But that night, nothing. The silence pressed against me, thick and heavy, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Then came the smell. A rancid stench, like wet fur mixed with rotting meat, drifting in from the shadows. It clung to my throat, made my stomach churn. My fire sputtered as if the air itself was being drained of oxygen. I sat frozen inside my tent, clutching the flashlight like it was a weapon. The beam shook in my hand as I pointed it toward the thin fabric walls. That's when I saw it. A silhouette, massive, hunched, moving slowly around my camp. Its shadow covered the tent completely, blotting out the moonlight. The sound of its breathing, God, I'll never forget it. Deep, guttural, almost human, but too heavy, too ragged. The tent zipper rattled, not from my hand, but from something brushing against it. I wanted to scream, I wanted to run, but I stayed perfectly still, barely breathing, because in that moment I knew something. Whatever was out there, it already knew I was inside. I don't know how long I sat there, paralyzed inside that tent, but every second felt like an eternity. My flashlight beam trembled across the fabric, casting warped shadows of my own shaking hands. I prayed, quietly, desperately, that whatever circled outside would lose interest. But the breathing never stopped. It grew heavier, closer, as though the thing was leaning down to inhale my fear. Then, a sound, not footsteps this time, but a low growl, deep, guttural, vibrating through the ground itself. The zipper moved again, more deliberate now, as if a clawed hand was toying with it. That was when survival instinct finally kicked in. I lunged for the lantern, blew out the flame, and held my breath in the suffocating darkness. Silence returned, but not the kind that brings relief. This silence was patient, predatory. I thought about unzipping the tent and making a run for it, but where would I go? The trail was half a mile away, and the woods were nothing but endless shadows. My mind kept circling the same thought. If I leave, it will follow me. If I stay, it will find a way in. And then I heard it, words. Not clear, not human, but something between a moan and a whisper. A broken attempt at language, like someone imitating speech without ever learning it. Camp. The sound warped, stretched, and ended in a wet snarl. I felt my heart slam against my ribs. I knew then, this wasn't just an animal. It wanted me to know it could speak. The tent walls shook violently as something brushed against them. I could see the outline of a massive hand dragging across the fabric, the claws catching on the seams. My whole body trembled as the stench grew unbearable, filling my lungs with rot and wet fur. Suddenly, the tent collapsed inward. The stakes tore free from the ground, and the fabric folded over me like a suffocating shroud. I thrashed, kicking, clawing, my flashlight spinning across the dirt. Through a gap in the collapsed fabric, I caught a glimpse. Eyes glowing faintly yellow, a mouth stretched far too wide, lined with teeth that gleamed under the pale moon. It didn't lunge, it didn't attack. It just watched me struggle, as if it enjoyed the panic. I don't remember how I managed it, but I crawled free from the tent and bolted into the trees. The forest swallowed me whole. Branches whipped at my face, roots caught my feet, but I didn't dare stop. Behind me, I could hear it following, not running, but walking, slowly, confidently, like it knew I couldn't escape. Every time I looked back, I saw its silhouette between the trees, towering, massive shoulders swaying, arms too long for its body. It never rushed. It didn't need to. The deeper I ran, the louder the whispers became. Not from behind me, but all around. The forest itself seemed to echo with that broken, guttural voice. Camp, monster. I realized then I wasn't hearing just one voice. There were many. I don't know how long I ran. The forest twisted into a labyrinth, every tree the same, every shadow stretching too far. My lungs burned, my legs felt like lead, but still I pushed forward, driven by the weight of those whispers that crawled through the night air. They weren't just behind me anymore. They slithered ahead of me, above me, inside me. Different tones, broken syllables, overlapping like a chorus of voices that never learned how to speak. Camp, monster, camp, monster! I stumbled into another clearing, the moon hanging high above, pale and merciless. For a moment, I thought I had escaped. The night was quiet again, except for the rasp of my breath. My body trembled, sweat freezing against my skin. I turned in circles, flashlight beams slicing through the trees. Nothing, no movement. But then I saw them, eyes, dozens of them, pairs of faint yellow glimmers blinking from the tree line, watching me from every direction. Some low to the ground, some high above, swaying like predators perched in the branches. And with each blink, I realized they weren't reflecting light. They were glowing on their own. The whispers grew louder, clearer, as if my mind was finally tuning into their frequency. They weren't calling me out. They were calling me in. The ground beneath me shook, and from the center of the clearing, a shape rose. It was taller than the trees, its outline barely human, its body matted with fur, slick with dew and blood. Its jaw unhinged wider than anything natural, revealing rows of teeth that seemed to stretch back into its throat. It stepped forward, and the others, the smaller shadows with glowing eyes, stayed perfectly still, as if bowing to it. I fell to my knees, the smell of rot and wet earth flooding my senses. My flashlight slipped from my hand, the beam dying in the dirt, and then it spoke. Not a whisper this time, but a voice that rattled my bones. You came back. I wanted to scream, to beg, to do anything, but no sound came out. The forest itself seemed to hold me down, pinning me beneath its suffocating silence. The monster crouched, its massive head lowering until its face hovered inches from mine. Its breath was hot, moist, like an open grave. My vision blurred with tears, but I couldn't look away. You stay. The voices around me swelled into a frenzy, overlapping, chanting, hungry. Claws brushed against my shoulders, my arms, dragging me backward into the darkness. The trees closed in, the clearing vanished, and the last thing I saw was the glow of its teeth splitting into a grin. I don't remember what happened after that. All I know is that I woke up back in my apartment days later, clothes torn, body covered in dirt and scratches that no doctor could explain. No one believed me when I told them. They said it was exhaustion, a nightmare, maybe even a breakdown. But sometimes at night, when everything goes quiet, I hear it again, that broken whisper carried through the silence of my room. Camp, monster. And I know it's not done with me.
Subscribe to Horror Story Bar.